Good morning and welcome to another beautiful week in Kansas, and potentially the last one for quite a while. We've been working for a few months now on this bus, and we're down to the last few processes of ending my portion of this build. The owner is going to be doing a lot of the painting and finish work inside. I have just built all the systems and cabinetry. One of my last projects is getting this 12-volt air conditioner running. If you notice, I can't see or understand how to operate it, and the instructions are about as good. So this week, we're finishing this puppy up. Let's go, y'all. So I was having a problem with this side of the unit as I was outside trying to get it to take Freon. Things were not working in here. And I came in and could smell warmth, electrical smell. And this fan is jammed out of the box. So I'm trying to take the shrouds off and see if there's something I can do to loosen up in here. But they're not able to spin. And it came this way. Not looking very positive. This thing's pretty cool, I'm not gonna lie, y'all. The whole thing, including the frame that holds the compressor outside and the fan, is all 3D printed. You can see the little print lines in it. But the air handler just consists of this plastic shroud, this electric double shaft motor with this rubber band around the motor, and it just rests right there. And you screw that to this up here. It's like the most rudimentary air conditioning system you can dream up. It has everything you need, and that's all that you need. But apparently that motor had gotten slightly torqued inside of this and was binding, so I've righted it, and we'll put it back in and give it a whirl. And just like that, we have 12-volt air conditioning. Now right now, I have it running. It's pulling from my large battery bank. And that large battery bank is being charged by a converter. So I'm taking 110 power from my extension cord outside. It comes in, and I lead it up to this cutoff, and I've split it to operate as a sub panel. And one line goes to the residential AC outside, and the other one comes down to energize my outlets. So it's in essence a very safe pass-through instead of the cheap ones you order on Amazon, which cannot really take this type of power. All of this has been wired with SO wire as well as marine grade for the outlets and the walls. This allows for the ability to plug this bus in with just a regular 110 outlet. It also allows to unplug here and plug it into a solar generator and charge your batteries off of that as well. Nice.
Oh boy, y'all. That second air conditioner's going. It's not too terribly loud. I wonder how it feels inside. Oh my, it's cold.
There's two air conditioners running. Oh, Bailey done made me build her a meat locker.
That's definitely a first, guys.
All of it's running off of a 110 connection too, which is awesome in my opinion.
Leo is one lucky puppy.
He needs this. Well, y'all, I've been moving around like a Kansas twister today, trying to get as much finished as I could. I did finish up my little propane storage box. It's a two-handed process, but that just pulls straight up for you. And then I just use some simple latches to hold it in place. Once again, this thing is not meant to be completely gas tight. The point is there's a rubber seal in here, and I'll drill vent holes around the bottle once I get the bottle in place, and that allows for any excess propane that may come out to go down and out the floor, because propane is heavier than air. Bailey stopped by today and also let me know we need to build another bed in this area here, so as soon as I can get some lumber, we'll get started on that project. Until then, I think I'm gonna call it a night. Morning, y'all. I'm in here enjoying the AC. Today I'm running a test on it with a fully charged battery bank, and I'm not gonna be plugging the bus in until I need to, but I'm trying to determine how long that little air conditioner can pull off of this battery bank with nothing else running. So I have a refrigerator that we're gonna be putting in here today, but I'm not gonna be connecting it until I get all of my answers. I'm also going to be pressurizing the water system today, checking the water pump. My little torch that I got for the floor broke. So, unfortunately, I'm waiting on Amazon to send me another one because I was almost finished, but not quite. Let's get some stuff done today, y'all. Well, y'all, I didn't do too great of a job of showing you what I was doing today, because quite frankly, what I was doing was cleaning, and that's rather boring. I've pretty much got all my tools packed away here. Have a couple little things I'm working with stacked around. I mostly have been overly stress testing the electrical system, and I need to add to it tomorrow. I'm not quite happy with its performance today. Finished up the floor, and I started working on a box so that the hardware for the door can be on the inside, because right now there's no way to open the door from in here. You have to get out, go around, and open it, and I don't necessarily like that. I did it out of wood, but right as I applied the handle, I realized it's got to have something to pull against, so it just ripped out of that. We'll get it right tomorrow. Until then, I'm gonna go find my Kelsey. Welcome to another fun-filled day of bussing. Me and Kelsey were talking last night, and I thought I would share the point of view with you that this YouTube channel is an exact recording of our lives, and it is a solid representation of just how unpredictable and difficult it is to turn a bus into something you can live in. The idea that you can project how long it's going to take you to do any particular project is just laughable. I've done it so many times now I can't count, and I still can't do it. All that being said, we're going to have another good day of trying to get this thing finished up. I've got some supplies on the way, and I'm going to be building a removable cot that goes here, and my intent is to make it store behind that door. But until those get here, I'm going to keep myself busy. Starting out by working on this door. I think I figured it out while I slept. Let's see what we can do. There's one more thing off the list. I've attached this, what I believe is out of Ford Transit. It came with the rails from the junkyard. Brand new seat, and I've ran number 8 hardware bolts down through the floor, through the steel that's underneath the van. And I'm very confident that thing's not going anywhere. Especially not before any of this.
Hey, that's running water, Shane.
That are running water.
Oh, we're close, y'all. So very close. That's a beautiful sound.
Well, my supplies eventually did show up. In the meantime, I finished bolting down this seat, which looks awesome. And now I've moved on to installing the last trim ring on the water heater, as well as I got me a propane tank so I can test the water heater as well as the stove. And I'm also doing some deletes. This was where the original person that was converting the bus, they tried to install their water port here and decided that was a terrible idea. And they just left a big hole there and made a new one. So I'm putting a steel plate over it so that it can be painted over and we can forget this ever happened. Let's keep moving. That's one of them. There's several more on the back. And I'll also finish grinding down this whole area here so it can be painted. I'm waiting for that to be the last thing I do so I don't get it filthy. But it's getting rather late for the day. I'm gonna come back tomorrow and do the carpentry work I have to do in there. But as I've said before, and I'll say again, I don't like to start anything major at the end of a long day, because you can make mistakes that way. So let's see what we can build in the morning. Good night, bus. Well, good morning, y'all. I've got a little thunderstorm that's blowing over my construction site, but fortunately, I have functioning air conditioning and lights. So, I'm working in here. And what I'm working on is a sleeping cot that is removable that takes up pretty much all of the floor space in the bus, with the allowance of being able to get out of bed and come around it. Now the problem is, I originally designed the couch to not have one of these, so the seat bottom is actually at an angle, so I don't really have a way to make the standard sliding couch that you see in a lot of bus conversions. This is going to act more like a cot, so the legs are going to be anchored to the floor and removable, and it'll all store up against the wall. But the only way I know to build something like this is to build it in place. So I am meticulously cutting out my wood and rough building it, and then I'll take it outside, make it really pretty, and bring it all back in. Then I gotta build a door there too. Well, I've got myself a prototype, if you will. It fits in my space, it does what I want it to, but now it's time to disassemble it and glue it all together and make sure that all of my joints support themselves, versus right now it's just kind of holding a shape. These are pivoting legs here, and it'll be stored there while in transit. Obviously, a strapping system is necessary. Before I finish that outside, because it's hot, it's real hot today. We have a temperature warning in effect for Kansas. I'm going to be working on these little doors. They're going to be saloon style doors that go in this void here. So I want to get those fabbed up as well so I can glue and sand everything outside under the trees in one rip. Let's keep going. Well, it looks a little weird with no mattress in there, but that's a 15-inch gap, and most mattresses are 12 inches, two 15 inches. So hopefully the one that's going in will be 12, and that will allow for blankets, and that'll be a nice covered space. Super simple design. Bloop. And here's the last of me gluing this bed together. Wood glue is definitely the key to keeping all of these structures together and keeping them as light as possible. Yeah, you screw them together, but it's nice to bond it, and this stuff works well. Once it dries, it's all pretty much just one big chunk of wood. I'll let this dry, I'll sand it down and cram it in there. And while I'm waiting on that glue to dry for the bed, I went ahead and installed this handle, and I had to alter this handle ever so slightly because with everything, my tolerance is very low. But now we have a nice safe way to open and close this door. I've left the alarm on it as well, so the bus won't actually start unless this door is latched, which, because it's behind this door, that's a very possible thing, and you might not notice it and try to drive off. The last thing I have to do is put a patch on the outside here. And then this one will remain locked from outside. Neat. While I was doing some of the stress testing on the electrical system, I decided that this unit is not fit for this system. This is a 125 amp unit, which if you check with the manufacturer, that calls for basically a 25 amp breaker. I got one up there. And normally in a residential setting, most outlet circuits are 20 amp breakers. So a 25 amp is a very particular type of setup. It has larger wiring in the wire, and you would find that as a direct replacement inside of a camper. More than likely a really big camper is where you would see something like this. But we don't need all of that amperage coming in, because that means it's pulling 17 amps through our shore power, which is far greater than we can expect to pull through that type of circuitry. So I've had to downgrade this charger, which means it's gonna definitely charge our batteries a lot slower. This one was capable of charging this whole battery bank in about 3.5 hours. I've downgraded it to a 35 amp, which pulls 5 amps through the system, which is a much better number for us and our needs. But it's going to take it close to 6 hours to charge the bank, which isn't a huge difference, but it's enough that, you know, you can get a little irritated by the situation. I love how it's the exact same size. The screw holes even matched. Let's give this a run for its money and make sure it's going to work for us. These two breakers right here control all of the power coming in. So this is our shore power, and it comes in and it goes to these two. So one of them is the air conditioner and one of them is all of the outlets, which there's only 4 in the whole bus. So there's one here, there's one there, there's one right there, and there's one in the kitchen. What I've created is, in essence, a really fancy extension cord to run a lot of really cool shit. Well, y'all, I got me a bed in place here. I still got to rearrange the legs and pull them ever so slightly in from the corners so they're not as trippy. And all I've used to hold this, I created a ledge all the way around the couch and the kitchen, or underneath the stove. And this just rests on that ledge. And then I had these really long bolts. So I just drilled holes all the way through my ledge. And that's how it locks in the back. And then the front is just these legs on hinges. And they have a bit of resistance there. Tomorrow I'm also going to bolt the hinge to the wood versus the little screws that come with it. And then I'll be putting one of these fancy things and running the pin into the ground like I did here. And that'll keep tension against it, and this bed won't go anywhere. We'll get it finished up tomorrow, y'all. Ooh, it's getting so pretty. Well, good morning, y'all. As you can see, I'm already soaked. Starting to get everything ready to get out of here. This morning I'm going to be finalizing this bed, shaping it, and permanently installing it, as well as making the storage for it behind the door. I'm also running tests since I got in the new battery charger yesterday. We have the battery bank charged fully. And today while I'm working, I'm going to be running this air conditioner off of the battery power to see just how long it can run without taking a charge. I've got it on low. I tried it the other day on high, and I got about 3 hours of usage out of 200 available amps of power storage. We'll see what we get on low today. Alright, well, I got my bed all shaped up. I cut the corners off to allow for a little bit of more movement on each side. I moved the legs in. My goal was to actually bolt the hinges to the legs, but they wouldn't close enough, so I'm sticking with screw together hardware. I also got these latches on the bottom as well. I'm very confident in this structure now. I would definitely sleep on it. Now to move on to our testing. We're at about 1 hour and 12 minutes running that thing on low. And I have these two lights on which pull about 5 watts. So based off of that number there, that's the kind of power we're pulling to run an air conditioner off of power. Now, like I said previously, it is on low. So the compressor is at its biggest gaps in between cycles and the fan speed is as low as possible. I could push it a lot higher, but it consumes at a lot higher rate as well. So that being said, this space is quite cool inside and many degrees cooler than the inside of the Love Hut right now. So I would say this is definitely a solid upgrade. It eats a little more power than advertised, but that was expected. So one of my last things I've been working on is testing the propane system. And I've made several flared connections, which means I like to test to make sure that they're good to go. And this is just soap water. And you just spray everything. Oh no. My bottle broke. But I wanted to show you guys because there's an opportunity for a leak here. This is a fitting I purchased to make the 90 degree. And this is what happens. That little bubble's filling up with propane. So I'm trying to make this 90 degree fitting stop leaking. But I want to show you guys what a propane leak looks like. That'll blow you up, y'all. And there's our problem. The 90 degree is not a compression fitting, so it really needs some tape on it. So I'm going to tape this up and shoot again. What a silly component. Amazon. You got to be careful what you order off of Amazon. It's always a surprise.
Y'all, that sign is gone. It's gonna be dark any minute, and Shane has not told me that he's done yet, so it might not wind up being tonight. But I'm coming to reclaim him anyways. I've got something with me. Oh wow, it's gorgeous in here.
Thanks! I did it myself.
You did, every bit of it, babe.
Every bit of it. I wonder how many screws are in here, Kelsey.
A lot. And most of them hidden. It's very pretty.
I agree. Let's have a beer in Bailey's bus.
Let's do it. I got you covered. Texas beers.
Thanks, Tex.
Oh, guys, that's a big pile of tools. And that's a handsome man packing them into the Love Hut. Is it time to hit the road, Shane?
I think it's time to get a bigger truck. Where does all these tools keep coming from? The DeWalt store, apparently.
It takes lots and lots of tools to build something that pretty. You did such a good job, y'all. We are on the road again, y'all. But I can't tell you that we're headed for the trees just yet.
Well, we gotta get under a really low-cut tree. We gotta go fix Megs's van, Kelsey. The rats chewed a hole in the propane line, so I've gotta go fix it with some copper so the rats don't blow her house up.
Yeah, it's a pretty important job, but a very small one that we're actually pretty pumped about because it means that we get to go and spend just a little bit of time with our friend Megs, which honestly we were probably going to do before we left town anyways. And it also allows us to get all clean before our next adventure. Megs' shower is calling to me. Not even gonna take a little bit of a break, are you?
Well, I'm trying to, but you know, I gotta get work out of the way before I can take a break, Kelsey. Unfortunately, Meg's had a bit of a rodent problem, and that is a problem with rubber hoses. So she had no idea this was leaking. Fortunately, it was leaking outside the rig instead of inside, but it doesn't change the fact it needs to be fixed. So I'm gonna fix it.
He'll get it handled, y'all. He built those bookshelves a few years ago. They're still looking nice.
I can say with, a small amount of certainty, but we'll hope this continues, that today is going to be my last day of working on nomadic rigs for many, many days. But we do have some things to take care of because Meg's needed some help. I want to show you guys, I didn't build this fan at all, and I'm just repairing some stuff. So we have a sink and this flex tube. This end here, this dangling, normally hangs in this jug. And then we have a cutoff valve and it goes down and under the van. Now over time, that hose got banged with the jug and ripped, and it's been flooding water into the van the whole time, and we just didn't know about it. So today I'm patching it. I did try to get a PVC double barb fitting from the local hardware store, but it was just the wrong diameter to fit this. So I've got to be a little more creative, and I'll show you guys how I'm going to do that. There also was a water heater under here, and it ran off of propane. And that water heater froze this past winter and exploded. So we're just not replacing it because it really wasn't getting used. And we have two lines here. One was the cold water feed into the water heater, and then the hot came out and came to this shower head and to the sink. Seeing we're not replacing it, I'm gonna be creating a union between those. So basically when you turn on the shower head or the sink, no matter where you point it, cold water will be coming out. Let's get this thing fixed real fast. Now I've got that installed. That way if this valve is open, you have water that can run either direction, versus we did just have this little cutoff valve keeping water from coming out. And honestly, little valves make me a little nervous. I also am replacing the gas line that I showed y'all yesterday. The rats tore up with this copper one. And I just have to finish anchoring it to the wall as well as attaching it underneath. Now my solution to my barb not fitting in this hose is I just went ahead and purchased a normal extension tube. So this would generally attach to this metal portion under the sink, but I'm just gonna be using a hacksaw and cutting it off. I started and I wanna show you guys before I finish. And that way I have the size tube that I need to fit in that hose. Let's get this fixed.
Well, guys, it appears that Meg's problem is all solved, and she's gonna be ready to hit the road. And we are too, but Shane's going ahead and taking advantage of Meg's driveway to change the oil in the truck, getting us ready for some more adventures. It's good to have friends with driveways. We'll hit the road soon, y'all. That'll do, y'all. Shane is making himself quite comfy in what we're gonna call home for the night. This is the Ottawa State Fishing Lake. There's free camping out here. There's another car down there. It doesn't look like they're staying. And pretty much have this whole little place to ourselves. It's a nice change of scenery, y'all. Bud Wiser. They think they're hiding and I can't see them, I guess. I think we're gonna let those guys tell all of you goodbye for the week. I don't know where we're headed, but I can tell you it's gonna be a great time, and you're going to want to come back next week to see where that little yellow house of ours winds up next.